What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in. It's the Brash Free Media Podcast for Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Zach Haydorn. I am your host. That is Tyler Sage. He is your other host for the night. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I got a lot I want to get off my chest today, Tyler. I really do. What's going on, man?
A lot, but excited to talk some wrestling. And a lot to talk about. July's a big month. Usually it's not a big month in pro wrestling, but we have Saturday night's main events. We've got Evolutions. We've got All-Ins all in the same weekend. So
yeah, we sure do. And that's like, it's crazy. Like All In, when they announced that show in July 12th, whenever they announced it, I was like, oh man, that's so far away. Like, geez. And now it's like a week away. I'm like, holy cow, does time fly? Next week, we will we'll have your full All-In preview on the Brash Free Media Podcast. So that'll be a Thursday afternoon show. So make an appointment to be here for that. You're not going to want to miss that one. One of the biggest shows AEW has done or that will do to date. And we'll have everything previewed and looked at and analyzed for you. With the final Dynamite in the rearview mirror, so that is something to look forward to. Next week. That's AEW, and that's next week though. Tyler, I wanna spend some time today talking about WWE. We posted, or will go up here soon, the Night of Champions review for members, and both of us, I think, were correctly and passionately negative about the show. And I'm not going to get into like a review of Night of Champions, thumbs down show. But what it got me thinking about though was Triple H, who's really like pulling the strings for WWE, Raw, storytelling right now in the company. And then this bigger, broader question, which is, and I'll pose it to you, do fans care enough about the product they're being like served on a regular basis? And what I mean by that is, like, does Triple H have it right booking for reactions and fun pops and surprises and like whoa moments that get a million views on social media, because he knows that that's what the current WWE fan base wants? Or, has he lost his touch and is too deep in kind of like that mindless, meaningless pop type stuff? And he's forgetting the bigger picture, which is, people want to care about winners and losers. People want to care about championships. People want to care about, cheering on their favorite pro wrestler. I think it's the latter, but I'm willing to hear arguments on both sides. Because like, if you're a promoter, you feed the fans what they want. Feed. I get that that's an element to this. And so you want to come to a wrestling show and sing Seth Rollins' song? Okay, I guess you're going to come to our show and sing Seth's song, even though Seth's a heel. He's a bad guy. You shouldn't like him. He cheats. He's fighting all the good guys that we're supposed to like. I think that right there, that one example, and they're all over the show as well. I can pick out probably 6 more right off the top of my head. Like, that is a major hypocrisy, like in the show, in like the whole idea of the WWE product right now. It's like, we want this, but that. And I just don't think that Triple H has the pulse of any of that right now. And literally, I'm not being hyperbolic. Like, I think he doesn't have his finger on that at really any part of the card anymore. And 2 years ago, I thought he very much did have his finger on that. And things happen and things change, and people are put in different roles, but I don't think that he has a good grasp of how he wants to present his stars to the fans, or how he's reacting, how fans are reacting to his current crop of stars. So that was a lot. Take and pull out of it whatever you want, and then we'll get to some audience comment.
Yeah. Well, I like where you're going here with this. So give me in your mind the 4 top baby faces in WWE.
4 top baby faces?
Mm-hmm.
We got Rhea Ripley, we got CM Punk, we got Cody Rhodes, and we've got
let's be misogynistic. Let's drop Rhea for what I'm trying to do here.
Drop Rhea. Okay, so
Yeah,
Cody, Punk, Jay, and Sammy.
Okay, so here's what I had. If you can see that, I put Roman in there.
Roman,
and I did
fair.
I did Jay or Sammy as my 4th.
Okay, Roman. Yeah. Roman. Take out. Yeah, Roman. That he definitely plays. So,
Yeah. Do you want to take Sammy out then?
Yeah, take Sammy out.
Yeah. Give me your 4 men for AEW.
4 men for AEW. Baby faces.
Yeah.
We got Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman. Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman. Darby. God dang.
I put Kenny.
Kenny. Yeah, fair. Okay, thank you. Kenny.
So just so you know for the record.
Okay.
Of what you're trying to say there, it depends like what style of pro wrestling you like. But I think the 4 you just mentioned, you can get behind way more than you can everybody you mentioned in WWE, except for Jey Uso. That they're like guys that you can cheer for, you want to see win. They're your guys. You have that like when you were a child and like cheering for a sports team and it's pure and innocent before you gambled your life savings away betting on that team, etc. Right? Like that sort of nostalgic feeling. I get with those AEW baby faces. Maybe not all of them, but I think you can pick 1 or 2 that you really connect with and feel a lot for. For me personally, nobody on the Cody, CM Punk, Roman, Jay. Maybe Sammy would be on that list for me of like guys I want to see win and cheer for, but they've almost missed the boat on that. I think him beating Roman would have been that time to do it if you were going to do that with him. But what you're saying there of like the booking decision and being like, hey, let's just do crazy stuff. Let's have crazy turns. Let's do all this stuff. I mean, I alluded to it in the Patreon show, but it's very 1998 WCW. What's going on with WWE's main events right now, where you have a bunch of run-ins, you have, Macho Man turning heel when he was a babyface, you have everything going on with the Bloodline 2.0, the Wolfpack, it's the same sort of thing. So again, I'm not saying the company's going to falter, but creatively, I care more about what Swerve, Ospreay, Kenny, Adam Page are doing than I care about what Cody, CM Punk, Roman, or Jey Uso are doing personally. So
yeah, and I think like even a part of another part of this, which I think I'm glad you wrote those names down, because if you're going to watch a show, right, and you were like gonna bring somebody to the show that's never watched the show before, and you're gonna have them watch Night of Champions, okay, like those 4 guys that I just named, they weren't the 4 guys that like got the biggest like babyface reactions. Like John Cena, by like reaction standpoint and how the crowd is for him, like not just in Saudi Arabia either, like all around the country, he gets the biggest babyface pops, and he's presented as a babyface star on the Stephen Colbert show and on the the Today Show. Like he's that, like there's nothing heel there. So it's like he really should be on that babyface list, but he's not, because he's playing the part of a heel, even though no one really buys it. Same thing with Seth. Seth gets some of the biggest reactions and the biggest engagement from the audience on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. But he's a heel in terms of how he's written, but like crowd doesn't react to him that way. And you have those guys, Seth and Cena, working with these poor baby faces, and like it muddies everything up because they're not defined clearly enough. Whereas in AEW, it's clear, man. People want to see Adam Page win the world title. or Ospreay win the world title, or Swerve win the world title. They want to see him beat Jon Moxley. This is an easy formula to go forward with. And I guess I just don't know whether this is Paul Levesque like messing up, or if this is like a new calculated direction to take creative in the company. Both I think are bad, but it's one thing to go somewhere because you're making a mistake. It's another thing to go somewhere if it's a calculated effort to, this is how we want to present our talent right now. And I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah, I mean, not to get like into the whole shareholder value versus like private company aspect of it, but Tony Khan is like serving one master, and it's him and his ego and what he wants to see, right? And the continuation to like make enough money so daddy doesn't yell at him, right? And Triple H is serving a lot of masters, shareholders, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, The Rock, all that sort of stuff, right? So it's like that sort of like, hey, what's the dividend this quarter is more important than the 10-year wide aperture view of it. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? Like being able to sell out stadiums without announcing anything and delivering subpar products, being able to sell $40,000 ringside seats to Cody Rhodes versus John Cena 2 before it's even announced, tells you you're in a healthy spot, and would tell you if like, hey, if I'm a financial person, that Triple H is doing an absolutely awesome job, and that Tony Khan is a way worse booker because they can't fill a baseball stadium in Arlington, Texas. So I do think there's a lot of that of like, hey, this is working, keep it going, keep it at the same level, keep expanding on what's working. And like Triple H is seeing a lot of that as like, hey, that's success. And probably deep down, he would agree with the point you're making on what he would prefer to do from a booking standpoint, but maybe not. Maybe his hands aren't completely tied, but in his mind, he is to like keep doing what's working, do bloodline stuff, do run-in stuff. WrestleMania 40 is everybody's favorite match of all time. And it led exactly to this moment that we're in right now because it was so, everyone liked it so much, except for me, for what it's worth. Never forget it. It led to this stuff because it was so successful, right? Financially, creatively, etc.
The thing is, hold on, I want to push back on that because we talked a little bit about this on, not push back, but just comment. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit of this about in the member show for Night of Champions, but you have to earn moments like that. Like you can't, like the reason why that worked for so many people with Cody and with Roman is because you had everything aligned perfectly. You had everything. You had the crowd reacting the way you wanted them to. You had Roman on this tear of a title run that people were waiting and hoping to see end. You had Cody on his journey to like finish the story. Like you had to put 5 years worth of work in to get to that point. It's not. And so like, I think you're right where they're like, well, oh my God, let's recreate this. Let's recreate this. And let's recreate faction drama. With this time, let's do it with the Judgment Day, and with XYZ new bloodline. Like you can recreate these storylines, but like you can't cheaply recreate them, or else it comes across as exactly that. And I think that's what Night of Champions felt like too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that, right? I think even I was trying to look through the comments here. Sean even gave it a thumbs in the middle, and I think Sean is kind of my barometer for someone who's WWE focused over AEW focused, and I think he would admit that as well. So it's just like when that's getting like a passing grade from someone who's inclined, really, really likes what's going on with the product. I think I can say that safely. And I think that's when you have like your little canary in the coal mine situation.
Yeah. All right. Let's pause real quick. We'll get back to this conversation and we'll get back to it with you guys in the comments as well. But this is the Brass Ring Media podcast, folks. Thanks so much for being with us. If you found us on YouTube tonight, appreciate you being here. Please hit subscribe on our channel. We have all sorts of different content and different shows from different hosts that hit the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel every single day of the week. got our shows here on Tuesday and Thursday, the Brass Ring Media podcast, but then we've got Nocturnal Knockout on Wednesdays. We got we got Dominic's Daily Wrestling Hotline all throughout the week. Kick-Ash podcast on Saturday morning. So every day there's a live show here or new current event-based analysis of pro wrestling content that you can dig into. It's on the YouTube channel. It also drops on our podcast feed. So if you want to just kind of take us with you as an audio podcast, you can. Wherever you get your podcast, just search Brass Ring Media. Hit subscribe. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you're watching on YouTube, just like the video. It helps us out in the algorithm, helps us meet new eyes. Same thing for our podcast. If you're a podcast listener, give us a 5-star review and leave us a positive comment. It helps. It helps big time. And we thank you in advance for that. We also offer membership to Brass Ring Media over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media is how you find our membership tiers. The cheapest tier is $4 a month, and that gets you a whole bunch of content, including all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows. We just dropped the one for Night of Champions. We'll have a very busy weekend next week with All In and Saturday Night's Main Event and Evolution to a mess of different stuff. So now's a great time to try us out. In addition to the PLE and pay-per-view reviews, we do have exclusive member-only podcasts once a week. You get access to our Discord community where all the members hang out and shoot the breeze, talk wrestling, talk life. It's a really fun group. You get that as well as a bunch of other perks. So sign up, give us a go. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We also offer a gold membership tier, and big thanks to Sean Palikta and Adam Kidd for being two of our gold members. Both of them are live and in the chat right now. We appreciate you guys. As far as tonight goes, the live chat is wide open. We'll start to getting some comments here in a little bit, especially from our gold members. But if you want to make a comment, feel free to do so. I also have super chats enabled tonight. So if you want to ask us a question or throw a topic our way or just rant and rave, please do. We really appreciate any contribution amount that helps us out greatly. It kind of has been and is the lifeblood of Brass Ring Media. So we appreciate that in advance. Get them in now, and I'll work to get through all of them, no matter what, here on the show. Let's get to some comments here real quick. Let's see. Let me find the ones that I wanted to put up here. All right. Sean says here with his top baby faces: Punk, Cody, Rhea, and Jay. Adam talked here about it says the end of the OG bloodline, Roman being MIA, The Rock messing things up, and Cena being shoehorned into the title are killing the game for me. Like, that's crazy when you see it written like that, Tyler. Like, that's a lot of bad stuff in like a 10-month period or less than that. Like, I would say even like, really, it's post Royal Rumble where kind of like it all kind of comes crumbling down. I mean, obviously the bloodline storyline ended before that, but at least you got like a good War Games match out of it. You got like Roman, kind of and Solo, and you got to like do all of that. Like, it wasn't great, but at least you got to do it. It made sense to do. But man, when you talk about Roman being MIA, Cena turning heel and being shoehorned into the title picture, and The Rock coming back, and the bloodline ending all at the same time, it's like, whoa, yeah, that's a lot of creative ammunition that is firing in the wrong direction. Yeah,
I mean, there's no argument there, and it's like, it's not Jey Uso winning the Rumble is the end of the timeline, but I don't want to do that to Jey as one of the more over guys in the company. But yeah, I mean, there's no. That whole run, I mean, I think the first 2 weeks of Cena worked tremendously for me.
Yeah.
And then everything after that fell off the face of the earth. Obviously, I think it's impossible to defend what they've done with him, and even the stuff, and we didn't talk about it at all, really. We talked a little Cena doing the pipe bomb, but like Punk doing the Punk life. One of the worst CM Punk segments I think he's ever been a part of in pro wrestling on cable television, if I'm being honest. So it's like all that sort of stuff, just like those kind of like swings that they're taking are just like also not working on top of all the other stuff. You didn't even talk, in that, and it matters, right? Like MJF and Adam Cole almost destroyed AEW, not hyperbole, they almost did, but I'm trying to think of other stuff going on at the time. It's not good either, whatever's happening around it, right?
Right.
So around this time too, you have Tiffany and Charlotte. That was a disaster. You've got literally the entire women's division not mattering at all. I mean, that's been a better spot since the Rumble. Liv Morgan being around would help that even more so. But, the big call-ups, all the call-ups of talent help that too. But there's lots of other stuff that is just not working throughout the card. All of SmackDown is essentially skippable. It's Collision to me, personally, at this moment. There's no thank goodness it's going to 2 hours. But there's no reason to watch that show at the moment. There's no story on there I'm compelled enough to be I got to catch it live. I will watch it later on fast forward, and I'll fast forward through the first 8 minutes of a match. That's where I am right now.
And I think that's where you should be. I mean, they haven't earned, your added investment, and in fact, part of the reason why I brought this topic up is because I think that they are pouring cold water over certain points and certain storylines and certain characters that would generate more investment from the audience. It's well, we don't want, last night on Raw, for example, I think is a really, last night on Raw I thought was a not a great show, but a very good example of what I'm talking about here is when I say investment in the product. It's do you want to go, you had a big Gunther promo, right? He's going to face Goldberg at Saturday Night's Main Event. Different issue, but an issue nonetheless. But even if you take that issue and you put a pin in it, right? Who's the guy that comes out and kind of, stands up to the big bad Gunther? Oh, it's this other heel who we're supposed to not like, Seth Rollins. And it's what? How can, as a fan base, how can you get behind Goldberg to go after Gunther in that scenario? Because you kind of like Gunther for running down Seth. When Gunther had that line yesterday about, oh, Seth, boy, you know how to waste time more than anybody, traveling all the way out to Saudi Arabia just to not cash in your title successfully, or your contract successfully. It's that's a babyface line to Seth, but he's working heel to Goldberg. So, and then you have Seth, who's supposed to be getting this heat and supposed to be this visionary guy that nobody likes, and is supposed to be, taking WWE into the direction that he wants and nobody else wants. And, you got Gunther, the heel, as the counterpoint to that. And it's that doesn't work. Same thing with Io and Rhea. A little bit different, because I think you can get away with this in some instances, but you're asking your fans to pick either cheer Rhea or cheer Io, but you can't cheer both because they're going to wrestle each other. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, same exact thing. Two baby faces that are yipping and yapping at the other, and they look like total jerks. They are so unlikable. Tag team scene, New Day, Judgment Day, two heel teams. You do this huge heel turn with the New Day, and another heel team is the team that you have finally vanquished them for the tag team titles. Not an up-and-coming babyface team, not a babyface team that you've worked to build up for a few months. It's flat, and it doesn't create an environment where people will care about the storylines that you're putting on. I think people will care about doing Seth's dance, and I think people will care about singing CM Punk's song, and I think people will care, oh, we got to see Rhea Ripley, or we got to see Braun Breaker do some barking. All that's there, but it's so lowest common denominator stuff. And for pro wrestling to work consistently on the highest level, you got to have storylines and characters that people invest in, not just because it's fun to do a dance, but because they care about that guy winning. And I just don't think that's important in WWE canon right now, and it should be.
Yeah, that's why I did the list of stuff and who do you want to get behind on this list?
Yeah,
there's people on the roster that you can get behind. I think Sammy is the number one. Jay doing some sort of comeback can be successful, but it's like, do you really want Cody to be the one to dethrone John Cena at this point? Like, does anyone care? Or is that just going to be kind of more of like, well, yeah, we all thought this was going to happen, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go outside the box and have someone have a huge moment in this spot. Like, if Goldberg wins Saturday night's main event, how are people going to react to that? Like, because like to you, is it like what percentage chances Goldberg win that match and become champion?
What are the chances?
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah.
We're in a bad spot.
Bad.
So that's about where I am. So like that just tells you what you need to know. That is your synopsis clip of where the booking is currently in WWE.
We got Andrew H here in our chat. Says Seth has been such a centerpiece of WWE for nearly 15 years that even as a bad guy, people will cheer. Again, no real heel. So here's the thing. Like, I think that's right, Andrew. I think you're right about that. But then you don't make Seth a heel. Like, this is the thing. Like, you don't turn him heel. He was a babyface before and he was fine. Like, you let people cheer him if they're going to cheer him. If that's what you're pushing against, and you should know that. You should know that before you turn. Same thing with John Cena. Like, I thought the first 2 weeks were really good too in that turn, and it never hit second gear because I don't think people really bought Cena as a heel for whatever reason. That, like, you know, whatever it is. I mean, I don't think he kept up his end of the deal and played it, you know, very seriously. I also think he's out there, you know, just too much. And so it's hard for him to be a bad guy because people know his story and they know he's a nice guy. Like, you know, there's all that's there, but you know that before you turn somebody heel. So don't do it. Don't turn him heel or turn somebody else heel. You know, like it's pro wrestling. You can write this however you want, but you have to have the pulse of your audience and how they're going to react. And I think all of these examples are examples of creative getting it wrong. And my worry is that I don't think this is Triple H messing up. I don't think he's like oblivious and he doesn't know that Seth is going to get cheered. I don't think he doesn't know that John Cena might get cheered. I think that like this is a strategy to like, we want all these shades of gray characters because if, you know, then people can like this character and like that character and like this character and like that character. And everybody can like whoever they like. And it's like that to me gets you a very watered down product that can't reach its full potential.
No, 100%. Here's another like question for you on like your giving like a broad thesis, right, to why this is a problem, and then I want to like make it a practical reason of like why you're correct.
Okay.
And this is hard. I've been thinking about it while you were talking. So if you have a quick answer, I'd be shocked. Honestly.
All right, hit me.
Who's the best heel in pro wrestling right now, July 1st, 2025?
Logan Paul. I would argue.
Yeah, that's not a bad call, which dictates the problem with the business.
Well, and it's.
Mine was Kyle Fletcher, but
okay.
I didn't feel great about it. I just think he's like generally booed everywhere he goes based on what they've done, and he's like, but you know the babyface turn is coming, which is like kind of like there's no road for Logan Paul in my opinion to like do something, and like Kyle Fletcher is like a huge babyface one day, but like that's like a guy what's he doing at all in?
Nothing. Or he's probably wrestling Adam Cole, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, good Lord. So like that's like that's the best heel in the business, and that's like that's an answer I don't feel.
Well, what about like what if I would have like gone back in time and said Jon Moxley?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would be lying to yourself, but I don't think he's ever like been the best heel in the business. But
is he not a part of the equation for like interest in this main event? I mean, because people want to see him get beat.
Yeah, I mean, he's got more. It's happened gradually. Like it's less go away heat. As like I hate this character. Like that's like the true pure. Like who's like one of the best heels of all time in the business, in the history of the business? Like a Ric Flair. Like when Ricky Steamboat beats him and you want him to lose because you're tired of him winning so much.
Like Roddy Piper was a pretty good heel.
Yeah. Too. Like that legit, like you hate this character, but you like want to see them lose. You don't just actually hate them and think they're annoying, etc. Right?
Yeah. Or like Vince McMahon, big time heel character.
Yeah. That's such like a lost art, right? And that's like part of the problem of the modern business. You can still be that classic babyface, but it's really hard to be that classic heel because people will just like you.
Right.
And then you will not be a heel anymore.
Well, so let me pull at that thread a little bit. If that's a reality that we're stipulating to, is Triple H right to just turn everybody kind of heel and kind of babyface? Like if that's what we're stipulating, that classic heels just don't work anymore. And I would disagree with this, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Like, is he right to present characters the way that he is right now? You just pick between Rhea and between Io. You pick between New Day and Judgment Day. You pick between John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like,
it feels like we're talking like modern basketball, like positionless basketball. Everybody's 7 foot tall and shoots threes, right? But it's not really the case when the best guy on the team that just won the title is SGA and he's like 6'2". And a lot of tall guys too, but like it feels like that. Like in theory, that's what we want to say is like the end all of like what pro wrestling is. But no, I mean, I think certainly the problem for me is Triple H is not trying to present guys like, hey, you're a heel, let's make you a heel. It's too much of the like, well, yeah, you'll have your music because it's over. We don't want to lose that.
Right.
Like says like, hey man, I'm going to lose merch sales if people aren't singing the song, etc. Right? Like it's that little stuff that is like you got to fully commit. And in the business, like, is Jon Moxley a successful heel? Is Ricochet a successful heel? Is Kyle Fletcher? Is Kazuchika Okada? Are the Young Bucks? You can argue that each by its own situation, but they are presented solely as heels, and like in a more classic fashion. And they let your Kenny Omegas, your Will Ospreys, your Swerve Stricklands, your Adam Pages look better in comparison because of that.
Very much so. Yeah.
And it's not happening in WWE at this moment. So I do think it's a conscious choice to not do that, but it is, something that hasn't hurt it up to this point. So don't be worried about it. And they can pivot it too, which is the good point. So, but yeah, I think Triple H would agree that most of these people need to be presented as heels to make it a successful thing. I think that's the only way to kind of turn the boat on this before it's too late.
Had some good comments on this. First of all, Sean says here, you can argue Ricochet. I think that's a good argument. I mean, I think not in the history of the business, but like right now, I mean, he plays a straight up heel. And who would have thought Ricochet, right? I mean, like you never knew whether or not he had that in him. So
Don Callis still gets pretty good heat.
Don
Even though it's pretty played out. But yeah, I mean,
our gold member Sean here says Gunther has still been great. And yeah, I mean, he has, but he's been a victim of the same muddy booking. Like again, last night on Raw, he's in there mixing it up with Goldberg. But that, literally 45 seconds later, he's kind of a babyface to Seth Rollins as a heel. Like, he's not as ill-defined, but he's in this mess of characters that kind of just, it hurts him because he's around it all. And I think that's an issue. Sean also says here, Drew is a great heel, but people love him too. Yeah. He's kind of circled that. Sean says here, Mox has not been successful, man. I'm going to save all of this. I'm going to save my rebuttal until, next week's All In preview week, because I have more of a positive take. But I'll save it, Sean. You get one up on me right now. Man. So Tyler, let me ask you then. What is, if you're Triple H and you were sitting down with him and he was just going to shoot the breeze with you, what do you think his answer would be? Like, what do you think his answer would be as a reason to present his top talent in such a blurry way if he knows better, which he does?
Yeah, you're saying like truth serum. And
Yeah,
like safe space, I'm not going to report on what he actually said, etc.
Yeah. You're off the record. You're just sitting there. You're having a meal, and he's like, "Look, man, here's the deal. This is what I'm up against. This is what's actually going on." Like, I mean, because for a guy that knows the history of the business as well as he does, for a guy that has been in the business and has been a heel, a top promoted heel and a top promoted babyface, like, he knows that this isn't the way to do this. So what gives?
Man. Do you think he would want to be portrayed this way as a heel back in the day? Do you think this is how he really wanted to like book himself? Like, do you think the Gunther heel is what he likes? Like, because Gunther just like speaks the truth as a heel and is usually right. Like, everything said about Goldberg is 100% correct. Everything said about Jey Uso is 100% correct. Everybody he's feuded with, he's been right about, and he's been a babyface who's just a dick, basically. So I don't know. Maybe that's what, if he's not like, hey, I just like, these guys are hard to manage and they all want their, I got the mandate to keep Seth's song because it's over, and you get crowd response that's good for the social media clips. If people react, it doesn't really matter what happens week in and week out. The things are selling out. Is it my favorite product? No. Like, if Triple H would be like, hey, I'm excited to see Moxley and Hangman, that's more my style, if I'm being honest with you. That's what I think like his true serum would be. But he's like, but hey, like, the job's pretty good. I worked my whole life to be here. I want, only the second booker for the company ever. So I'm not going to like let that go because my ego. Would probably be what his real answer is. It's like, hey, it's working. I don't love it, but it's successful, and that's all I care about.
Yeah. Triple H, Adam says here, our gold member. Thank you, Adam. It says Triple H was a great heel, and he says here, Mox and the Mechanics have killed the town. Man, just wait, Adam. Just wait, Adam, kid. I got some words for you. Got some words for you on this Moxley thing. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think that, and this is why, like, I think it's a fun conversation to have, because if you're Triple H, or let's say you're Stephanie, and Triple H comes home and just goes, God dang, man, this is crazy. Like, I'm booking this stuff, and I don't even, it shouldn't work, but like, it is. So I guess, I'm going to keep going with it. And but at the same time, good bookers, I think, are ahead of the curve. They're not behind the curve. They're ahead of it. You got to see where it's going, not just enjoy where you are at that exact minute. Because then you can't judge things effectively. Like, WWE has tickets sold for their, shows 6-7 months from now. Right. So like it takes a while for the momentum or, lack thereof to hit because of that. So you need to prepare for that. Like, eventually, our fans gonna, like, are all that's going to be left is fans that want to sing Seth's song, and they go to like do that at a wrestling event, or, eventually you need to put a main event out there like Cody versus Roman from a couple years ago that people just really, really care about. Like, that did huge business, not because of songs, not because of because of silly surprises. That did good business because people cared about Cody's journey. Like, and that's a recent example. This is not like get off my long Zach talking. This is like, this was 2 WrestleMania, or like, 2 WrestleManias ago that this is a reality. That is the formula of pro wrestling working perfect. And how you can forget that in such a short time is really befuddling to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably never know, because Triple H does seem like a little bit of a black box. Like, he almost died. I think he talked about it once.
Yeah, nobody knew about. Yeah, right. Adam says here, he's winning it all in, Zach Moxley.
Well, here's what you know for sure is going to happen on this card is Darby's certainly going to win this Battle Royal thing. Just so everybody's like, no effing way.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. And I still think Paige wins, and then they can do that whenever they want to. But I think that meta throughout the show is going to be like, no way. This is like that, like more than any sort of build of like Paige can't win. I think because Tony does think that way. And he's like, hey, if I know if Darby wins, everyone's going to think Paige is going to lose, and then that means Darby Moxley. So be mentally prepared while it happens.
Yeah, well, that it's like that's. I think
that's like the meta of the build, and I think that's okay to do every so often to f with people a little bit.
Yeah, well, and because like even if you don't know the meta, that win won't impact you at all.
Yeah, you know? And if you do know, you're like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah, and if you do know, and that's the best kind of meta, like,
and you're like nervous. It's like your team before like Game 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the World Series, whatever. Like, oh man, you don't get here very often. We got to make it happen. Let's go. So.
Adam says, when I'm correct, I hope you guys bring me on so I can gloat. Yeah, we may do that. Depends on our mood. Depends on how hurt we are or how much our egos are damaged. Yeah. But yeah. Let's see. Andrew H says here, flirting with hypocrisy when criticizing Triple H for what works with his hardcore audience, while praising and glorifying Tony Khan's decisions. Well, hold on. I don't think that's a fair assessment of what we just did. I'm discussing, like, part of the whole premise of this discussion was is Triple H doing the right thing, catering to like who he's catering to? I would argue no, just like I argued no, when Tony Khan would trot out, New Japan talent without any explanation at all to wrestle matches on Dynamite and pretend like everybody cared as much as he did. It's the same thing. It's super serving your core audience, but it's not good for your show. It's not good for your product, even if it is, super serving your hardcores. So I think that hopefully that kind of answers your point, Andrew. We might be flirting with it, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I just call out stuff when it sucks and praise stuff when it's good. So Night of Champions really sucked, and I think All In's going to be good, but if it's not good, I'll tell you that too. So that's my stance.
Yeah. So in regards to Raw last night, you saw a lot of this type of thing play out. So much so is like Braun Breaker, right? He cuts like a little backstage promo, and it's like, Paul Heyman's kind of afraid of him, and he kind of like goes up against Bronson Reed, and like it's like, you guys are already like showing dissension, like that you're already teasing that you guys just got together like 2 months ago. Like, let Braun Breaker just be a heel, or let him be a babyface. But this like mix and match, this pick your way. It's like Mad Libs for pro wrestling, and it's just like you get nothing out of it.
Yeah, and it's like not cheap heat, but man, all he's got to do is like only idiots bark in public, a couple of times, and then it's like boos instead of barks. Like it's like so easy to be like, and then you're the biggest heel in the company by just like tilting that axis a tiny little bit. But
right, yeah. Sean says here, I'm the same way, and if we disagree, we do, and that's what's fun about these shows. Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. That's why we fire up the microphones and love talking with you guys. So, absolutely, like, just goes without saying on this show, as long as you present your opinions with respect, we put them out there. We definitely put them out there. So, thank you, Sean. What do you make of last night on Raw and kind of the developments? Well, actually, let me take a step back. In the next week, you're going to have WWE do Saturday night's main event, Evolution 2, and an NXT show, all on the big AEW All In weekend. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's petty on WWE's part. Yeah, it's a clear market grab to try to like get some eyes, so that they don't buy the AEW pay-per-view. It's all of that. But I don't. I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good. If you want to compete, this is what competition is. You go for it. You do it. Petty, yes, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. If I'm, I mean, certainly it impacts your buys if you're Tony.
Definitely.
But like, I don't know. Again, he doesn't have any shareholders to suck up to, like everyone at TKO does. So, honestly, in my head, and I bet Tony would, under Truth Serum, would say the same thing. Like, if you'd rather watch Goldberg in a main event in 2025 than what I'm putting out here, then don't let the door hit you on the way out. Is honestly how he probably feels, which has hurt him a lot in the past.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna assume that's how he feels. That's, if I understand, like, paying the $50 and watching a free show is a very different equation. So if it's for that reason, it makes sense. But if you're like, I have the $50, no problem to spend on this, and I choose to watch the Goldberg match, then I don't know what to tell you, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Tony's like, I mean, yes, it's going to hurt the buys for sure, but that's the space that you're in. So, I think it's unbecoming to like whine about WWE's running on the same day. It's like, okay, you got to have confidence in your product and run opposite them. That's it. And I think Tony Khan has your opinion hard. But needless to say, I bring that up because you've got the same booker that we've been talking about, Paul Levesque, who you got to book Saturday Night's Main Event. You got to book Evolution. You got to book both of these shows are going to happen at the same time. You just had Night of Champions like a week before, and then SummerSlam is a couple weeks after that. Like, there is a lot of masters to serve here. Not, and I don't mean like, Ari Emanuel. I just mean shows. You got to put matches on these shows. And so it's like you start spreading like the match peanut butter on the bread, and it's like, man, you only have so much. And
we have 2 nights of SummerSlam.
2 nights of summer, right. And you only have so much. And so, if you didn't have Evolution, maybe you do Rhea Ripley against Io Sky at SummerSlam. Oh, yeah. And you might still do a third match there, but people just saw it a couple weeks before that. So how do you grade, the balancing act being done right now to kind of serve all of these different shows as a, content provider that WWE is right now? And again, I especially thought that was kind of clear last night on Raw because it was so, okay, Night of Champions is done. Now it's Evolution and it's Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah, I would say like less Evolution because that's like your July pay-per-view essentially, right? In what, August? What was the date for SummerSlam? It was like early, like the
SummerSlam's like August 7th or something.
So like I'm fine with that. Like, yeah, you have a monthly pay-per-view. Any company should be able to sustain that with the roster that WWE has, doing 5 matches, whatever. It's like the Saturday Night's Main Event of it all that is starting to feel like, how long is this contract for? Because like you are kind of like ruining, what are they? They're half Raw main events, half PLE matches on what's going on these shows. But it does feel like you're, making a PLE 85% of what it could be because you have these. And over time, that's what's going to like be the real problem. A year from now, it's like, oh man, we have 24 events we have to basically book, big time stuff. It's just not sustainable long term. So it's not been an issue yet for me, but I think it's going to start soon, probably post SummerSlam, to be like, oh man, we're a little bit of golf here on good stuff to do before we get into WrestleMania season.
Yeah, it bothered me with some of it and not other parts of it. Like the Rhea Ripley Io Sky thing is what, and Sean is kind of echoing my point here. Sean says here, I wish they would have built better to the Rhea Io match. And it's like, I agree on that. Like this is just Io just picks there's a picture because she's the best, and that's it. Now we're at this match, and it's like, man, that's a lot of storyline that you just didn't get into. I mean, Rhea's never beaten Io. You've left that. That's not out there. You're not telling that story. Io beating Ripley at WrestleMania already, like, and winning the title from her. Like, you have all this to play with, and instead, because you only have a week and a half to build it, you just, again, you go low. Like, what do we have? What's the bare minimum that we have to do to make this kind of make sense? Let's do that, and then let's move on. And you just don't get a compelling storyline here. And I think if you're in the middle of the card or you're at the bottom of the card, okay, fine, you can get away with that stuff. But this is this is arguably the most popular woman on your roster in Rhea Ripley, and your world champion.
Yeah, I mean, this is the main event of the show, right?
Oh, you definitely. Yes. This is your main event, and you don't like you should want people to care more than just, oh, she picked her. And so, yeah, I had a problem with this one too, Sean, in terms of it's a build that if you would have started yesterday for SummerSlam, I think you're in a good spot. But because you're just going to pay this off, in 2 weeks, they got to tape SmackDown and then they have one more Raw. It's like, what can you do? You can't give this like the proper jolt of momentum that it needs storyline wise. And yeah, it'll be a good match and it'll fill some time and it's a main event on paper, but you're just not getting that investment that I've been talking about in this, because you just have decided, okay, we're not going that route. We're not going to tell that story.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of like, hey, here's two people you like. That's the pro, I think, of having face, heel matches more consistently and being more normalized on WWE, is that you can kind of just be like, hey, we have so many shows, let's throw these two over talents in the ring, and that's enough. And that long term, I think, does hurt how the company's viewed if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Andrew H says here, I'm gonna get to that in a second, Andrew. Get to that in one second. In terms of CM Punk, he had a weekend. He had quite the weekend. We talked about it on the member show. The apology that he made to Saudi Arabia, and then he didn't have a good match, and he was forced to go out there and rap against John Cena in what you said was one of his worst television segments ever. And I think that's accurate.
You can see in his eyes when he walked back up that ramp.
He knew it. And like, yeah, I mean, the old CM Punk, somebody would have reported, man, Punk chewed this dude out back, like, not that he should be doing that, but I'm just saying that, like, it shows you some of the, just Punk's playing ball. He's playing ball.
There's two paths in life, right? Either like yourself in the future is like, if you saw yourself, are you proud of that person or are you not proud of that person, right? Can you imagine like 30-year-old CM Punk watching that segment somehow?
Yeah.
He'd be like, what happened?
Right. What happened?
Yeah. So
yeah.
There's no doubt that 30-year-old Punk would have that reaction to that thing.
Except your check has lots of zeros.
Yeah, but then he'd log in to, he's like,
That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But now I will call this out. I thought that there was a chance that Punk, would start to lose like momentum, babyface wise. It didn't seem like it last night. Like, I'm talking just last night on Raw.
Yeah.
He got a huge pop, and people were, into him. I think they're into him and Seth, even though Seth's really muddy, And then you had that little showdown with Punk and Gunther. You think that is a SummerSlam match, or do you think the blow off with Seth is the SummerSlam match?
I mean, man, honestly, I would hope it'd be Seth and him, because it would just be like Seth screwing over Punk in that match too. And it would just prolong the inevitable of those two, like having a 3-month blood feud again, which feels like more of the path. So I'd rather just be like over with at SummerSlam for me personally as a fan. But I could see it. That's a way to serve many masters and to tell another story and to give everybody something to do would make sense. So I think it's probably more Punk Gunther or Punk Goldberg.
Don't even put that out. Don't put that out into the ether.
Can you imagine a Punk Goldberg match? Man. I almost kind of want, I just for the chaos. I almost would like to see that build.
I mean,
what would that be? I mean, good Lord. Is that the worst thing you put on in a main event?
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there is one of the. I mean, Cena and Goldberg would be bad too.
At least you're getting both the bad acts together. You can have a good.
True. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. I mean, I think. I mean, you got to do the Punk Seth blow off at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But. And I think that Seth is close enough to the championship where, maybe you probably want to just do it for the championship when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's a logical thing to do or to wait for. But you can't go Gunther to Seth. I think that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, who's the middleman? Does Punk beat Gunther? Or does Goldberg beat Gunther? It could go a lot of ways. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting nugget in the show last night. Kind of you planted the seed for 2 matches, and that should make to be a little bit more positive on a piece of Raw last night. I think that's good for Punk. I think your babyface mixing it up with these top quote unquote bad guys, and now he's got something with Gunther. He's got something with Seth. So whatever way you decide to go makes sense for him. But yeah, I think, if you're Punk after having a bad weekend, you probably felt pretty good being okay, all right, they're still with me. I'm in Pittsburgh, big enough town. They're with me. I'm okay.
Yeah. I think if you're Triple H, for Andrew's suggestion here, I would have a talent call him Saudi Phil and just see how he reacts. Don't tell him it's coming either. I'd be all right, this is the ultimate test. If Phil takes this well and doesn't lose his mind, then I'll make him champion.
Dude.
If someone unprompted, not on the book, man.
I think, man, you are just poking the bear with that one. Even more so than sending his ass to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. And apologize.
Yeah, you're to apologize. I'm with Sean on this. Sean says here, the Seth Punk feud I'm really into. I am too. I think this is a good feud. If I were to vote and I were to Triple H called me and said, hey, what's the better match for SummerSlam? It's definitely the Punk Seth blow off. I mean, that's the match. I mean, you've been building to that for couple years now. Yeah. This year has been about that feud. They had a run in at WrestleMania. They wrestled on the Netflix show. They wrestled in a cage match. They both prevented each other from winning world titles. This is there. You got to put a badass stipulation on it, and it's got to be a war. It's got to be like MJF Punk in AEW. It's got to be
for Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah, for Money in the Bank or for the title when you do it. It's got to have something in it, and I think it's got to be extra violent.
Yeah. Well, that's good because then we can get Jay and Gunther 17.
Oh, yeah, thank God. Yeah, thank God. Oh, man. All right, you guys, we are going to wrap it up right there. Fun conversation today. I'm excited that we were able to kind of relate some of this back to Raw. And I just think, going into a busy weekend for wrestling with both these companies, we kind of did a state of the state on AEW last week on Thursday. Kind of gave a little bit of a state of the state on WWE tonight. If you want to check out our Night of Champions review, our members only review for Night of Champions, you can do that right now. It's up on Patreon for our members. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media is how you find that. Definitely give us a go. Now's a great time. We got all sorts of member content planned for this week and next with All In, and just a ton more. So do what Sean says here. It's always fun, guys. Become a member to continue having these awesome conversations. Yeah, do it. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Once again, if you want to bring our live shows with you, we offer them as audio podcasts on the Brass Ring Media podcast feed. And of course, they all live here on the YouTube channel as well. Hit like on this video, hit subscribe. And if you are a podcast listener leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. It helps us out big time. Tyler, throwing to you for some final words. Anything?
Nothing really. Did you Dynamite 300? Do you want to get to that?
Oh yes, geez, thank you. Yeah,
I don't know.
Dynamite 300.
That's Okada and Ibushi. That's the main event, right?
That's That's exactly what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okada and Ibushi. How excited would you have been for this in 2021 AEW, and how has that excitement changed in 2025 AEW?
Yeah, because it was like the G1 final.
That's true. That's an unfair question.
And it was incredible. Yeah, I mean, that's like Ibushi as like the guy who's going to like be the guy for the next 10 years for New Japan, and then obviously everything that happened there. Yeah, I mean, it's totally different, and yeah, I mean, it's fun.
I think it's a good match to put on Dynamite 300.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I think it's a totally like Ibushi's not a guy anymore, as we talked about, but like I think some people will still think this as a bit of a novelty match, and Okada's going to win, and that's good. Like I think this is a good use of it.
And Kenny's got like the relationship with Ibushi, so you can use that in the match. So yeah, it's just a good way to build in the match. And you know, of the Japanese guys on the roster, I guess Ishii's not on the roster, but he seems like he's on the roster half the year. So it'd be like him.
He's around half the year.
Yeah. Then Shibata, then Ibushi, then Okada is like your Japanese hierarchy in AEW. Am I missing anybody? Oh, Kazuchika Okada, but Takeshita. He's like not a New Japan guy, so it's like different. But like Okada and Takeshita are the top Japanese guys in the company. Ibushi's quite a step below.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I think this is an okay use of it. You know, like if you were going to like plan to build to this big Ibushi match against anybody, really, maybe you don't do this, but they're not, and so you can. Yeah. We're going to cover all that. We'll review that show on our Thursday edition of the Brasserie Media Podcast. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Once again, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys all on Thursday. See ya.